Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Good day and welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest today is someone whose experience in relationships, leaderships, and personal responsibility has transformed how countless men and women approach their partnerships. A voice in redefining what it means to be a strong, dependable partner. Now, his best-selling book, Being the Strong Man a Woman Wants, and his previous book, How to Get Your Man to Wear the Pants So You Don't Have to, has empowered countless partners to step up and embrace leadership, responsibility, and emotional strength in their relationships. Now, his message is clear: leadership, responsibility, decisiveness, mental load, emotional strength, providing reassurance and security with balancing strength with compassion to bring emotional stability and security to relationships. Now, whether it's understanding the importance of emotional resilience, mastering the art of decision making, or restoring a sense of security and trust, Elliott has been recognized for his thought-provoking leadership across multiple platforms, influencing not only personal lives, but business leaders and policymakers around the world. Elliott Katz is internationally recognized as an author, public speaker, and a seasoned speech writer with years of experience. So please join me in welcoming Elliott Katz. Thank you so much for your time and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Chris. That was a wonderful introduction. Thank you so much.
Elliott, I want to dive into this with you. Let's your man to wear the pants so you don't have to. All right. What do you believe are the key takeaways from this book?
Well, I just want to the point of this book, and it came after my first book, because the first book is Being the Strong Man a Woman Wants, Timeless Wisdom for Men on How to Improve Your Relationship. And, I meant that book for men to teach them the traits that you talked about, the qualities that you described. And a lot of women read that book and said, well, how do I get my man to take charge? He just always says, whatever you want, you decide. And I've heard that so many times from women. And the men really think, well, they're being non-controlling, nice guys. Why is she upset if I say, well, do it your way, you decide? So women said, how do I get man to take charge? And so I wrote the second book, How to Get Your Man to Wear the Pants So You Don't Have to. There's strategies on how to make your man realize that this is really what you want. You don't want him to keep saying, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. You want him to step forward and take charge. When you ask him for input on a decision, you don't want him to say whatever you want. Or, I've had this situation because I also speak at singles events, and I'll ask the women in the audience, how many women here have had a man ask you out? Then you say, yes, I'd like to go out. What do you have in mind? Oh, I don't know. What do you want to do? Don't say it. The woman is turned off right then, because to her, if you can't even choose a place to go for a cup of coffee, she's going to think, how will this guy handle the challenges of marriage and family life? I want a man with a plan. That's what I say. I want a man with a plan, a man who can take charge, a man who can make good decisions. That's what they want. So this book is like, how do you respond to a man who says whatever you want? Or I don't know what, so for a date, this is what I tell him. If a man asks you and you ask him what you have in mind, and he says, I don't know, what do you want to do? Just say, I don't have a plan. I bet you could come up with a good plan. So why don't you research a good place, get something we can do, and call me back? and if he really wants to go, he'll do that. And the thing is, the man really thinks, I'm being a nice guy. I'm showing her I believe in gender equality. So that's the whole point of that book. How to Get Your Man to Wear the Pants. Wearing the pants meaning take the lead. Women say to me, when a man doesn't wear the pants, it's like being on a boat with no rudder, with no captain. You're just adrift. So, and yet, the reason I wrote the first book is because men don't seem to understand that. They don't realize that.
It's neat when you talk about this, because we really, what I'm hearing is we're emphasizing the importance of decision making and being decisive in a relationship. So when you talk about, hey, I'm being a nice guy, let's do whatever you want, we're really shifting the mental load to somebody else. Like, hey, Elliott,
Right.
I really like you. Let's go out. And you're like, oh, well, what do you want to do on Friday, Chris? I don't know, whatever you want to do. And it's like, well, you made that like a me problem. I thought you were asking me out, not me trying to put this together. And it sounds like when we default to the responses, like, that sounds great to me, instead of taking a more active role. So why do you believe that currently, according to your books, it's this this world of, hey, whatever you want to do, that's fine with me. Why do you think we
Right.
want to be nice guys and nice people and nice partners and not really rock a boat?
Well, it's a lot of the messages we hear in society today. We hear men described as controlling, as toxic. I don't know any men that want to be controlling and toxic. Men, they want to be good men, and they really think, well, I'll be a good man. I'll just do whatever she wants because that way she should be happy and she won't accuse me of being controlling or toxic. And they don't realize, well, she doesn't want you to be controlling or toxic, but she doesn't want the other extreme also where she feels you're just so passive that you can't even choose a place to go for a cup of coffee or a restaurant to go for dinner. A few years ago, I went out with a woman and she said to me, you date well. What are you doing? And I thought she was making fun of me. And I said that to her, are you making fun of me? And she said, no, you're a good dater. What are you doing? So I said to her, I'll tell you what I'm doing. I took all these new ideas about dating and I pushed them out of my head and I went back to the old fashioned way. Whenever I ask you what, I'm a man with a plan. If you have a better idea, I'm open to it. Of course, I'm open to it. But I never say, oh, I don't know. What do you want to do? It just feels like, she can't depend on you. Because what is a woman? One of the most important things a woman wants is a man who makes her feel safe and protected. If you can't even choose a place for a cup of coffee, how are you going to handle a situation where she needs you to step forward and make her feel safe and protected? It's not just choosing a place for a cup of coffee. It really says to her, this man won't be able to make me feel safe and protected.
It's a unique thing that you said where, you date well, right? And people are giving you these compliments. And we say we take these new age ideas of dating and push them out of the way and say, no, I'm going to go back to what I know and what was worked. What's an example of a new age dating tip or advice that you said, hey, this just doesn't work for me. I got to get this out of here and go to something more traditional?
Well, I'll tell you something. I once wrote an article about 12 ways to make a good first impression on a first date. And most of them were pretty straightforward. But one of them got so much response, I couldn't believe it. What was it? When you pick up your date, open the car door for her. And the men said, no, men said this. Oh, no, women don't want that. They don't want you to open the car door. I said, well, I'll tell you, I open the car door for a lot of women. In fact, I open the car door for everybody. If they're a guest in my car, I open the car door for them. But especially for a woman, because I want her to feel special. That's the idea. So I've had men say, "Oh no, women don't want that. They'll feel you're being chauvinist." You know what? I've never had a woman say, "You think I can't open the car door myself?" No, I want them to feel special, so I open the car door for them. Another thing is like paying for the first date or paying generally. When I take a woman, I like to pay for her because if I like her, I want her to feel special. Then I want her to know you're special to me, and it's not a matter of the amount of money. I'm not going to go. I'm not extravagant. A man should spend what he can afford to spend, but I want her to feel special. And so, I've had men say, "Oh no," and men will think I'm showing I believe in gender equality if we split the bill or if I let her pay. I met this woman once. She told me, very attractive woman. She says she went out with this guy and they went out for dinner. And when the bill came, she offered to put her credit card on it and he accepted. And then she says, now we can't understand why I won't go out with him again. Because he thought, well, I'm showing I believe in gender equality. But to her, she was testing him to see if he's going to insist on paying. This is one of the things women do. Will you pay? Will you insist? And you know, anyway, so that was finished for him. She wouldn't go out with him again.
There's a couple of things that I'm hearing here. One, chivalry isn't dead, it's just forgotten. But the other part of this is that, and you said this so eloquently, I opened the car door for my dates and for everyone because I'm inviting them into my space and I want them to feel special, and how I'm taking that as welcomed. And it's really neat when you talk about, hey, I'm having a house party. I'm going to greet you at the door, open the door, and welcome you in. And, if it's a car or a McDonald's or a Tim Hortons or wherever you're going, that's showing just a different level of care and acceptance and welcoming and warmth in a pre-relationship. I really like that you said that. Now, when we look at your book and it emphasizes the title, wearing the pants, which traditionally refers to taking on responsibility in a relationship, and we see this concept relating to a more modern discussion around, emotional labor and mental load. And to me, I'm drawing a lot of correlating lines there. How do you feel that a partner today could share this, wearing the pants mental load? Because you had said, being chauvinistic and being overbearing and controlling, which is not what we're talking about. We're
Right,
talking
right.
about, hey, are we having chicken or fish tonight? I don't know. You decide. No, it's chicken. We had fish last night. Um, so what would be some advice that you would give to these younger partners who are saying, "Hey, I just want to be happy in a relationship, don't want to rock the boat. How can I, you know, cater or share the mental load and emotional labor?"
Right, right. So those terms like mental load and emotional labor, they're kind of new terms. And really, what are they saying? They're saying, a woman wants a man who can make a decision, who can make a plan, a man with a plan, or can take the lead or take charge. It seems like they don't want to use those words, so they use mental load and emotional labor. Do you know what I tell people? And tell men, you know, men are confused because they hear all these messages about, you know, let women make the decision so that way, you won't be controlled. Don't just do whatever they tell you to do, and then they should be happy. But you see, what the point of my book is, I get people saying, well, what about, I hear feminists say this, or some feminists said, I said, you know what? You don't have to listen to ideas that are not really helpful, that are not really working. Because I've met so many men who are divorced, I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought I was being a great guy. And so I said, well, and this is why I wrote these books. You have to know what it means to be a man. And this is what it means to be a man. You show your share of leadership, you make decisions, you take responsibility, you don't blame your wife. If you give into something that turns out to be wrong, you don't start blaming your wife for it. And all these things, as long when you know what is the right way to be a man, the woman will naturally respond positively to you because you know she may say all these things, but who knows? One of the things that women will admit is sometimes some of the things they say is not really what they really want. So you just be the right man, and she will respond to you with love and respect because that's what she wants. She wants a man who is strong. She wants a man who can take the lead. She really, women today, they're successful in careers and professions and business, but when she's with a man, she wants to feel like a woman. She wants him to take charge. And I've had that lots of women say that to me. Yeah, so once you know, and that's why I wrote these books. When you know the right way, then you don't have to hear all this stuff about, you know, develop your feminine side or be vulnerable. And I was coaching one fellow. He says, he's divorced, and so I want to be vulnerable. So when I go on a date, I tell the woman about my divorce and how I can't earn a decent living now, and she doesn't want to go out with me again. I said, well, that's not what they want to hear. They want to hear, that you had these challenges and you overcame them. That will impress them. So the thing is, you have to know what is, the right way to be a man, and the woman will naturally be attracted to you.
It's a neat piece when you're talking about this because it's this. To me, I'm kind of drawing some lines to, here's a resume and a job interview, right? You're going on a date with someone, you're interviewing everybody. And, the interviewer says, what is one of your biggest strengths? And you say, well, I was divorced and this is what happened. And the interviewer is like, oh, great. Thanks so much. But I mean, a lot of what you're saying seems to be these traditional stance of, happy wife, happy life, let's just go and do these things. So how would you navigate that when we talk about here's a new person in a relationship, they're having some difficulties, and what you're saying is we need leadership. So if that
Right.
means that you're leading your household, leading your family, leading your new relationship, what are some easy tips to show leadership that doesn't showcase that you're overbearing or trying to control or be malice intent?
Well, exactly. So what is leadership? Leadership is being aware of what's going on. If you want to show leadership in your home, and when you're home, become aware of what's going on in your family, what's going on in your home. And okay, so you see a situation that needs to be dealt with. Don't go to your wife and say, well, what do you want me to do? Because that's just frustrates her. Just say, I see this problem. I see our son isn't doing well in school. I know someone who does tutoring and the subject that he's not doing well. Let's check out this tutor. Maybe that can solve the problem. Oh, well, that's great because you're talking about mental load, emotional, you've taken that load off your wife.
Yeah.
So see the problem, take charge, find out. So many guys, and they're wonderful people. They come home, they worked all day. They say, they're always, just tell me what to do. I'll do it. And I explain to them, that's not being a father and a husband. That's being a mother's helper. So, you have to become aware and do some research. The great thing with the internet, you could Google any problem and some articles would come up on with suggestions on dealing with it. Say, I think we could deal with it this way. I think the way to solve this problem is this. What do you, and if you think that your wife would like to have input, you could say, what do you think? I think this is the solution. What do you think? Don't come to her and say, I don't know what to do. What should we do? Tell me. So, or if you think it's something that your wife would just say, we just want you to deal with without involving her, then deal with it. That you have to use your judgment. But the main thing is, don't come empty-handed because it's really, and it's like I say, when you say, what should I do? That's being a mother's helper. Mother helper, you hire the person, you
Yeah.
tell them what to do, and they do it. That's not being a husband and a father, and it's very frustrating for a wife when that's all she feels. She doesn't have a husband. I've had women say to me that when I always have to tell a man what to do, it makes me feel like he is a child and I am his mother, and I don't want to be his mother.
It's really neat that you've said this because it's if you were at work, for example, and you noticed a problem and you went to your supervisor and said, "Hey, here's the problem. This is my suggestion on how to fix it." And what we're saying is that that shows leadership and decisiveness when you're in the working culture. Why can't you do that? The laundry machine is broken and needs to be fixed. The grass needs to be cut. These things around the house need to be done. Don't come in and say, "Oh, well, it's broken again. Did you want to call this time or do you want me?" Just make the phone call, take it off. I really like that you said that. But I want to
That's
fast.
exactly the kind of a similar situation at work, and that's the irony. You have some of these guys are top leaders at work. They see a problem, they come forward with a solution, they present it to their senior people, and the senior people, hey, this guy is great. This kind of he has ideas. He kind of shows initiative, right?
Mhm.
But he could come home and just be like a passive beta, just like, well, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. And maybe he's exhausted from working so hard at his job. And I tell men, I said, yes, you might be exhausted from your job, but you have to save some energy because just like you work hard at your job because you want to provide a nice life for your family, in the same way, you have to save some energy to take charge of dealing with these situations for the same reason. You want to provide a nice life for your family. You don't want to be divorced and your children from a broken home. You don't want that, believe me. So you have to save energy and realize it's very important. They don't realize, they just think, I'm such a great guy.
Yeah.
I do whatever she tells me. It doesn't work.
So I want to fast forward here to your book, Being the Strong Man a Woman Wants. Now, most of this book has been written through the eyes or the story of a grandpa or a grandfather to his grandson, and they're going on this hike. And the grandfather is sharing his insight, but really listening to the grandson and the importance of having it. So why did you choose to write it from a grandfather and grandson standpoint as opposed to a father and son standpoint?
Well, I think it's to show that this wisdom skipped a generation. That the grandfather may have tried to teach his son, but because of all the messages he hears in the media, he just he didn't. He was overwhelmed by these new ways, these new and better ways that unfortunately not working. So it's like the grandfather is teaching it to the grandson because this wisdom has skipped a generation, and now the grandson has said, "Yeah, I'm doing all these things. I thought it's the right thing," and the grandfather is telling him, "No, this is not the way. This doesn't work. This is the way it's been for centuries." And then a lot of the sources are, they came from sources that I found that were written over centuries, like stuff written like 2,000 years ago. I said, "Wow, that's exactly." That's exactly what the situation is today. Nothing has changed.
It,
No,
it's It was a
I can get
really enjoyable read because it was one of those things where if you grew up with an estranged relationship with your grandparents, or maybe you didn't live super close, or you didn't really get along, whatever the case may be, it was this really neat moment where, the grandson's getting married. He's going through these early stage objections in a relationship, and he's just, hey, grandpa, like, man, how did you do it? And then here's grandpa going on this hike saying, well, this is what I did. Not sure what happened, but maybe if you did a little bit of this, which brings me to these pieces of your decision making and your leadership. And so when we talk about those important messages, and we talk about the importance of taking charge in a relationship, or being more decisive in a relationship, what are some of the simple taking charge and being a true leader in a relationship key points?
Well, as I said before, taking charge really involves knowing what's going on and seeing situations that need to be dealt with and stepping forward and dealing with them. So making decisions. And one of the interesting things, I coach men, and I experience this, and the men that I've coached have experienced. One of the things I always bring up is, why does she ask me to make all these decisions that don't matter? No, like, why did she call me at work? I'm busy. She asked me to make like, what do you want for supper? Like I say, chicken or fish, like whatever you make is fine. Why does she ask me to make all these decisions? I said, you know what? She wants you to. That's why she's asking you. She wants you to make decisions, even all these decisions that really don't matter to you. So I say, if it doesn't matter, then it's easy. Just choose one. Just make a decision. And men have told me, and I've experienced the same thing, that when you do that, the woman says, it makes me feel safe and protected. That's what she wants. She wants a man who can make these decisions, good decisions. And like, so many will be like, oh, it doesn't, these aren't important decisions. Can't you make them yourself? She wants you to make them because it makes her feel safe and protected. So make them. And it really makes a difference.
I think it's very well said. And as we're on this train here, we often hear the saying, behind every great man is a great woman who influences him. Now, some argue that men want many things. However, in your book and in speaking engagements, you've actually narrowed it down to a partner and respect. Why do you believe so many people are surprised to hear this?
That's a great question. And I think I've read a lot about this. Part of the problem with relationships and marriages today is that people don't really know how to be married. We hear all these messages that don't really work. And it's I did my little survey of women, married women. Well, if I say to them, or single women, what is the most important thing a man wants from a wife? And if you say what wants from a woman, they'll say sex. But if you say, what does he want from a wife? Yeah, I mean, men want sex, but what does he want from a wife, a woman that he marries? And so many times the women will say, oh, he wants sex, or he wants appreciation, or he wants respect. Yeah, all those things. But what's the most important thing? He wants a partner. He wants someone who's going to be with him through thick and thin. Who's going to, when he's rich, they'll enjoy life together. And if he goes bankrupt, she'll stay with him and they'll rebuild together. I've met men like that who've gone bankrupt and their wives stayed with them and they rebuilt. And he says, she is my partner. I love her so much. That meant so much to me. When someone isn't your partner and they're just like, okay, they're there for the good times, but the bad times they're gone. He said, well, that wasn't really a partner. So that's the most important thing. And the irony is when you ask men, what's the most important thing you want in a wife? They'll say, I want a partner. But that's the irony. Like, so women don't know this. Every man that I've spoken to will say the same thing. And it's a sad thing. It's like, how do we communicate to women that, you know what, the most important thing is be my partner, be with me through thick and thin. That is what I want, and I'll be with you through thick and thin.
I like that you've said that, because it's this piece of, going along to get along doesn't work. And when we look at, happy wife, happy life, it doesn't always work. And when we talk about, I want a partner and I want respect, it's really everybody wants to feel pretty. You want me to make you feel respected and that you are my partner. Well, I want the same thing from you. And in the vows, till death do you part, thick and thin, I do. It's right there historically on the wedding days when you go. Now, I wanted to ask you, your book's been translated into several languages. Have you noticed any differences in how the message is received in other parts of the world?
That's a great question. So it's actually been translated to 26 languages all over the world. And here I thought, well, I tell you, first I thought this is just me. And I thought, well, no, this is just a North American thing. And then, I got to inquire some publishers in different countries, and the fascinating thing has been like all these sort of images that I had, like countries like Japan, where you think every man has a geisha, or Brazil. The book sold really well in Brazil. And that's where the whole image of machismo originated. And it's just so interesting that really what I say is, cultures may be different, but human nature is the same. Men need to learn this. See, the thing with men is men need to learn how to be a man, how to be a strong man. In
Mm,
most cases, it just doesn't come naturally to men. So usually, traditionally, a father is a role model. He shows by his example, by how he acts, how he behaves. He shows us his son how to be a man, how to treat his wife, how to deal with other men. But so many men are, unfortunately, so many young men grew up without fathers, or they watch television where men are ridiculed, and they really don't. And then they hear all these things: develop your feminine side, they talk about your feelings. It's okay to cry. It's okay to cry once in a while, but avoid it because it doesn't make the woman feel safe and protected. So they have all these confusing messages, and so what my point is that really all over the world it's the same situation. It's really fascinating. Like so many languages, all of Russian, Ukrainian, Polish, um, Thai, Chinese, both Chinese, simplified Chinese, traditional Chinese. All these countries, men need to learn this, and these in these countries, the book is sold well. So it's just I feel like wow, here was my situation that I wrote about just sort of help me through this situation. And men all over the world are learning it and hopefully are applying it and having much better relationships. So that's been very rewarding for me.
Now, it's neat when you talk. You've said this a few different times, and I'm going to paraphrase here. Some of the people that you're coaching, would that be correct in saying?
Yeah, yeah.
So, walk us through what a typical coaching session would be with you.
Okay, well, coaching is interesting because people come to me at different stages, right? So very often, one person in particular, he's first thing he said to me was, my wife and I have gone to marriage counseling. It didn't help. I said, well, you know what? It often doesn't help. It's a lot of people have written about it because in marriage counseling, you have the two people together and they're attacking each other. Like, how do you expect to walk out of that session and be in love again? So what I tell them is, these problems, when you go to marriage counseling, you're expecting other people to solve your problems. What I'm here to try to help you is to help you to give you ideas how you can solve your own problems because that's a man's job. You see a problem, step forward and solve it. And I'm don't bring your wife to see me. I don't even tell her you're seeing me. Just say, these are some ideas that you have to change your way of dealing with the situation that can get a more positive response from your wife. And and often it's very rewarding. Or with his children, that sometimes a man is, estranged from his children. I said, well, here's some strategies what you can do. Don't start bringing her to a therapist and all that stuff. You are the father. This is your job. This is ideas how you can solve your problems yourself. And the same thing with his relationship with his wife. Here are some ideas how you can change your way uh, and 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 uh, and improve your situation. And so often when I tell men, you got to be a leader, you got to make the decisions. They'll say to me, "No one's ever told me this. I've never heard this before." Really, and so do it and you'll see a difference. It really does make a difference because that's really what she wants. She's so frustrated because she feels like, well, I'm not feeling safe and protected. I don't feel I can depend on this man to step forward and one woman called me. She divorced her husband because like, there would be challenging situations, and he would expect her to handle it. Well, like I felt, she said, I felt like he was a child. Like you're the man. But as I said earlier, I'm sure he felt that, oh, I'm showing I believe in gender equality. Why we could just do it your way. Well, it's not helping. It didn't help. So, unfortunately, that situation. I mean, she was already divorced for a while when she called me, but with the other men, I teach them this stuff, and it improves their situation because that's it's so ironical. A person could be married 10 years, 20 years, and you say to them, "This is what you got to do." I didn't know that. And how could I have been married for 20 years and not know this? How come nobody told me this? You know, how come when I went to marriage counseling with my wife, all we did was fight in front of the counselor, and he never said, "Well, this is what you have to do. You have to change your way to get a better response." So that's what I basically do with coaching. I say you got to, you don't expect anyone to solve your problems. You have to solve them yourself. And by solving them yourself, you are growing as a person. This is all for your benefits, all personal growth. So that's what I try to do with the book. Here are ways that you can change yourself to get the response, a more positive response from your wife. Try it. It works. It really does.
And Elliott, where can people learn more about you? Do you have a website? Are you on social medias? Where can we find you?
Well, I go to social media. It's elliottKatz.com, ELLIOTTKATZ.com. And my books are on Amazon. I control them here to Being the Strong Man a Woman Wants, Timeless Wisdom for Men on How to Improve Your Relationship. And this one, How to Get Your Man to Wear the Pants So You Don't Have to. And I do my email because people can email me. I'm happy to talk to people. If you just want to talk for half an hour, I'm happy. Like I'm happy to help because really it is so rewarding to help bring peace between a husband and wife and the children not be from a broken home. So my email is Elliott R. Katz, ELLIOTTRKATZ at AOL.com. So please contact me if you're interested or read the books. I encourage read the books and then contact me because so I don't have to repeat to you what the book says.
Now your books, both books, in my opinion, they touch base on a lot of themes, reassurance, security, emotional strength, leadership, decisiveness, decision-making, even balancing strength with compassion. As the author, what theme sticks out to you the most?
Well, the most important thing, and sometimes a woman will say to me, "Well, what does your book say? To summarize it." I said, "You want me to summarize it in one sentence or in one word? Leadership. That's the most important thing in it because everything else comes from that." So, and I say that to women, and they'll smile because that's really what they want. It's really amazing. We've been told this whole thing like, don't be controlling, don't be toxic, and yet we were never taught be a leader. You're not a controlling tyrant, but not just a passive guy who just says, "Oh, whatever you want, tell me what to do, I'll do it." It's very frustrating for women. So really, want to know what the book is about? One word: leadership.
And Elliott, if someone said to you, what makes you smile, what would you say?
What makes me smile is when I hear, I get emails from people saying how this book has made a difference in their lives. It's so many things that they didn't know. That makes me happy because there's so many, you meet so many people divorced, children from broken homes. They're good people. Like why are they divorced? They're good people. They just didn't know what they needed to do to make their wives happy. And they thought they were, they bought the big house, the expensive renovations. It didn't make a difference. What they really wanted to take charge, don't leave it all on her.
Hmm. And Elliott, when you get up in the morning and you're grabbing that cup, what kind of coffee do you drink in the morning to get you going?
Well, I actually drink green tea. I
Perfect.
don't.
Hey, it's all right. No, that's great. And your books are available on all, Amazon, Google them. We can order them into bookstores if we need to.
Right, right. Yeah, Amazon has it as a paperback, an ebook, and an audiobook. So the audiobook, when it's really great, you could listen to it while you're driving to work. It's I mean they're all whatever way you prefer, but I see the audiobook is pretty popular.
And are your audiobooks in multiple languages as well, or are they?
No, they're just in English. They're just in English. But no, the paperbacks are and the ebooks are in other languages as well. Spanish, Portuguese, a whole bunch. A whole bunch. It really was amazing when you think, here I'm writing this for myself, and it's so many languages around the world. So yeah.
Well, amazing. That was the last question I had for you today on Coffee with Chris. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Everyone out there, make sure you get a chance to Google, how to get your man to wear the pants so you don't have to, along with Being the Strong Man a Woman Wants, available for audiobooks, transcribed in many languages, ordered on Amazon. Remember to smile to inspire and have yourselves a fantastic day. And again, our guest today is Elliott Katz.